Welcome back to Truth Be Told. We're going to continue this conversation with on mentorship. My name is Max for you audio listeners, and I am here with Dwight. And so we're going to continue this.
Also for you that are audio listeners.
Yeah. Or video. I mean, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've talking about individual mentors and group settings. I think there's benefits to both. I think the groups are. I think the biggest thing. This is something that I think I find beneficial in group settings. Just kind of like I was trying to think of how to differentiate them and the benefits of each, but groups, you hear and learn, and if it's a small enough group, I think that's the key, because you want to have some intimacy in that group. And
can you really have mentorship if there isn't an intimacy? I guess you can if you look at, if I would say that, in a sense, books that I've read, they've mentored me in a direction, but I think the most powerful are with the intimacy of personal relationships.
Yeah, because I think there's like a relational attachment that comes with it, or a relational bond, if you will.
Yeah.
The one thing with the group setting is it's kind of like not a peace of mind, maybe a peace of mind, but like recognizing that we're not alone. I think the biggest thing that a lot of the guys that we, and myself included, when I miss it for a while, before we started, I didn't know what I was missing, but now that we're doing it, it's like now I crave it. Because you're just chatting about life, honestly, and then we talk scripture, and we talk what I'm learning, what others are learning, where God's at work in the life, and you recognize when we're confessing things to one another too. It's like it becomes more. I thought I was the only one, but I'm not. I'm going through this. Okay, you're going through that too. And when one person opens up, other people naturally do. But you need the leader of the group to do that first, and you want a leader of the group to be able to open up. I would say if the leader of the group is too closed and very, very just all facts, there's going to be limitations to where there's to the growth, basically, out of that.
So now I want let's talk about, we talked a little bit of corporately, in a group. We talked about it individually. We talked somewhat about the benefits of that. And now I'd like to talk about basically the bestower of that. Those that have marked our lives with mentoring us, whether we thought it was purposeful, in the sense that we sought somebody out to do that, or whether it just became the blessing of a relationship with them, and what that meant to us. And I'll start that by saying, the first person that I would look at in my life, two people that mentored me in different areas. One would have been my father, but I was, I was in my 20s and upwards before that really began,
right.
And where he marked me by certain things, and they became. And the one that I think of is our pastor when I came to faith in Jesus Christ, August 26, 1979. And we were attending a small rural church in New Brunswick, and he never purposely mentored me, discipled me. Part of the reason was that I was a truck driver at the time, and I was gone from Monday to Friday night, and so there wasn't a lot of time in that. But I met with him, and there were things that there were blessings and benefits from just meeting with him
Yeah.
and watching him and being with him that marked my life. And I think one of those I look back was how I treated people when I actually became a pastor some years later,
Right.
and watching him as he dealt with people. When
Mm.
he was with someone, one of the benefits that I really saw in him was he was really with them.
Right.
Right? No, I don't know how busy his life was around
Mm.
that, and
Mm-hmm.
but when you were with him and you were in a conversation and a discussion with him, he was totally in that with
Present.
you. He
Mm-hmm.
was totally present, and that marked me.
Mm.
The way he treated people, as he met them, I watched that. His friendliness and his outgoingness and that, and so those were a couple of the things that had marked me with that relationship. And so,
Mm.
Max, what about you?
Yeah, I think I think I'm trying to think of a few different people in my life. There's one in high school that I had. His name is Pete Van Jenny, and he was the leader of an organization here in town, Young Life, and it was it's interesting because I was that it was is meant for anybody to come in, and it's just it was a safe place for youth, basically, not tied to a church or anything. A lot of it was integrated into schools, and I look at kind of in the similar fashion. He was just present, always kind of like your sidekick.
Mm.
He was kind of somebody who was just always there. If you needed to talk to somebody, he was there, and he wasn't just there for myself. I've had several people around me that benefited, but like he impacted their lives significantly just because he was willing to put the time in. He put the time into me and was a major part of my life in kind of like encouraging me to um, just move forward in a lot of ways, and that kind of like I guess that you could say that overflowed. So then now it's kind of more clear to me on if I put that time into other people, it's like um, the benefits that I can see that he has had in people's life, including mine. If I can just pass that on, it's like it's rubbed off, and now
Mm.
it's I can do that too.
Mm.
But he kind of showed that by just doing it.
Mm.
So it's like just being in a similar fashion present. You learn those things, but also it's like it was just part of him to invest. He was an investor of time, if you will,
Mm.
and they weren't super well off or anything, but he just that's what he loved. It's a passion, and it's I feel what God called him to do, and to me that is whenever I've reinvested time into somebody else's life in a similar fashion, it always it never ends poorly.
Mm.
It always is more enriching, and I think that's one of the things that uh, has kind of stuck in my life. Lance is another one that's more on the home building side, but in a similar fashion, you're dealing with trades and different people, um,
So,
treating them and learning and like and uh, just organizing everything to work. Yeah.
when you say on the business side,
Mm.
but if I remember the story correctly, Lance was also a follower of Jesus.
100%. Yeah.
And so, how did that affect his business ethics? Because there are business guys that I want nothing to do with because
Definitely.
they'll mistreat, use, and abuse others and say, "Well, it's just business, right?"
Yeah.
So, how did his spiritual life? How did that affect his business ethics, and how did that affect you?
I would say for the most part, he treated everybody with respect. Everybody was a part of the team. He wanted people there that wanted to be there, and if they were, um, he was pretty strict about that. Like if they were not, because this is going to sound weird, but like when you bring people together and you build camaraderie and there's not like a constant fight battle, because it can often be a fight constantly between a home builder and trades,
Mm,
because it's like the home builder's telling the trades what to do. Trades often want to do their own thing even though it's according to plan, but like if there's a cohesiveness in amongst that, and it's more about helping, kind of I would say the core of it. Lance did a really good job of planning and organizing so that their job was really easy
mm,
to get the job done. And it was like linked to how he would communicate those things. And a lot of that is scripturally based. And it would go into the full final result to being like where people would walk in to the house and be like, they've looked at 20 houses. They walk into this house and they're like, it feels different walking inside of this house. They couldn't put a finger on it. I remember hearing stories, time and time again, they'd have customers that would buy their houses because it felt different. I don't know all of the ins and outs, but to me, there's like when you do things according to God's way, if you will, it's like it's what do you call it? It's built into the whole thing, and that it seems dumb to say in a physical sense for an inanimate object like a house, but it's the effort, the care, all of the little things put into that make it what it can be. And so, like in that aspect, there's a lot of things there that aren't a lot different than normal, but they're different,
mm.
and they're more. It's done out of love and care and excellence, and not just get it done because we need to do more for the
Yeah,
business, sort of thing. But that is what built the business,
yeah,
and so like yeah, when he passed away, that was really, I mean, like a lot of his uh, um, that was kind of like a bit of a catalyst point for me to go further in this, in my journey with faith. And that's kind of around the time, not too long after when I came out to Wembley and met you.
mm,
So
yeah. So, um, hopefully, this doesn't sound self-serving. Uh,
it won't.
Max, uh, I remember the first. We've talked about this a lot over the last 5, 6 years. The first Sunday that you came, and we were 12, 15, 18 people at the church at the time, and you waited around until
Hmm.
everyone left.
Yeah.
And so, what was your purpose in that, and what have you gained from that?
It's a good question. Um, I get a lot.
Mm,
Um, the purpose in that, I would say I was kind of at a point in my life where I did not know how to move forward. And I'm not going to, like, there's things that I've learned at home, grew up learning, but there was, I don't really know why, but in my family, there's an awkwardness to talk about God. So, like, anytime that topic would come up, prayer, like, there was just not a, not a tension, but like an awkwardness. It was like foreign to talk about. So a year prior to me coming to Wembley, you were in our office at our one shop, and my dad was there. I think you were there. I was there or standing in the doorway. I can't remember. But I just remember the ease of the way you talked about Scripture, Jesus, God. The things to me were more natural, evident that it was like part of your life and not just like a piece over here that we go to sometimes, you know.
Right.
And so he was like, to me, it was more. There was a more ease piece about it, and I didn't really understand how or why. But from that, I think then a year later is when I came. So I was searching to try to figure out how to find, not so that it wasn't awkward, but like, why is it different? And I guess that's how God was leading, because that brought me there, and then it immediately felt natural. There was no like judgment. It was just you guys met me where I was at, and I was kind of at a place of uncertainty and everything. So
Let's leave that for a second.
yeah, we might have to come back to that.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to that in the next episode. We're at that time, and I think it's a great place to come back to. And
Yeah.
we're gonna come back to the question you asked me, and I want to see how that's been integrated in your life. And so, thank you for joining us on this episode of Truth Be Told. And I'm Dwight. This is Matt.